Hi everybody, Chef Greg here. We're here on the roof at our apiary, our beehives, doing just a standard check on the hives. It's now getting close to fall, and so it's time to really start paying attention to how the population is doing, how much food they have. You know, we're really starting to gear up. Hopefully by first week in November, we're looking to have these hives all closed up and all ready for the winter with plenty of food, no diseases, plenty of brood, ready to go. So the time to start that is now, first week in September, okay? As if you've been watching these videos, you may realize we've had some problems with this hive. First we had some trouble with mites, and then the mite trouble took a long time to get rid of. We lost a queen, we bought a new queen, and then the funny thing about that was when we put our new queen in about a month ago, a little bit more, there was a beautiful queen in a little box, and she had a bright blue dot on her back so we could find her easily. 2 weeks ago I went in this hive and I found the queen almost immediately, but she didn't have a bright blue dot on her back, which means something happened. We don't know what happened, and there can't be more than one queen in a hive, so I assume something bad happened to our beautiful little blue queen. That's okay. These are bees, they take care of themselves. Okay, so we're going to take a look at this hive. We want to see how our food is doing. This is just a frame that I had stuck in here for extra room. Okay. One of the reasons we noticed that this hive was having trouble is because the population was down. Now right here, this is a feeder that I put in here a couple weeks ago, and inside of it is sugar water that I'm now spilling on the poor bees. It was full with about a gallon of sugar water 2 weeks ago, and now it is empty. That's good. That means that they've been taking the sugar water. The reason you would feed a hive is because there's certain times of the year, even right now when there's still plenty of flowers out there, not all those flowers have nectars. Just because a flower is blooming doesn't mean there's nectar. And generally this time of year, the nectar starts to dry up. That in addition to the fact that we're already having some problems with this hive, so we decided just to start feeding all 3 hives a few weeks ago. So the sugar water is good for them. For nutritional purposes for the bees, it's about the same as nectar. For culinary purposes, it doesn't make very good honey. So you never want to do that when you're planning on keeping the honey, okay? I'm going to take off this little cover that I've got on here. So far they seem pretty docile. A couple of bees have drowned themselves in sugar water, looks like. That's not good. Let's give them a little bit of smoke. And again, the smoke doesn't hurt them. It makes them want to get away from it, which kind of moves them where we want them to go. And it also covers up pheromones, so that if one of the bees gets upset and starts putting out alarm pheromones, the other bees won't freak out. Okay? These on the bottom here are, of course, our brood hive, our brood boxes. These are what's important. Up here, this is what's called a honey super. We put this on there because there was still some honey left over from the harvest that we didn't get out, so the bees kind of clean up after themselves. So we put this on here. Hopefully they haven't started filling it with honey again, because we want all that honey to be in the brood boxes. But even if they have, oh yeah, they're starting to fill it. Even if they have, what will happen is this honey, when the nights start getting colder and the days start getting shorter, the bees will take this honey and they'll move it down into the center there, okay? So we just want to see what's going on. We know there are no babies in this part because right here in the middle, and I'll show you this in a moment, we have what's called a queen excluder. And what the queen excluder does, let's pull this off, is it keeps the queen out, but the bees can still come and go. And that's what this is. It's just a simple frame, and they've started to build on it a little bit. It's big enough for a bee to pass through, but too small for a queen to pass through. And normally the reason we do that is just to make sure there's no babies mixed in with our honey. Right now I'm not so worried about the babies. I'll take any that we have, but we like to keep the queen where we can watch her, okay? Now look at this. That's pretty good news, just because I see, it seems like a lot of bees compared to the last time I was in here. Could just be wishful thinking on my part, but let's go ahead and get them inside. The reason we do this again is just to keep them safe, really. Keep us safe, keep them safe. The bees don't get too upset. And also, the deeper they go into the hive, the less likely they are to get hurt when I pull out some of the frames like I'm about to do. Okay. We probably need to replace this brood box. I don't know if you can see it, or maybe the bottom one, but it looks like it's starting to warp a little bit, and the bees have made their own little entrance here. Okay. Which is fine, it's not hurting anything, but for the winter time we probably don't want, we want to keep this thing as snug as we possibly can. It's about 85 degrees today. It's hard to think about winter, but it is coming. Okay, now whatever they're doing a lot of it, because these look heavy. Okay, what we've got here, this frame is only partially filled. These little colors right here, this is pollen. So what the bees mainly eat is nectar and pollen. So they definitely have been doing their jobs. They're out there collecting pollen. I see a little bit of honey in there. I see some capped honey. So they're definitely doing the right thing. They're bees, they're gonna make honey. Hopefully they're making babies too, which is what I want. I'm just looking around here. What we like to do is take a couple of frames out and just set them aside like that. Usually the frame's on the edge, because in the edge there tends to be less activity than there is in the center. From a bee perspective, even though we have it in 2 layers, to them it's just 1 layer. This is like if in the wild this would be a hollow tree, and they tend to put everything right up in the center. So you see less things going on at the edges than you would in the middle. Okay? Now, plenty of honey again, at least a fair amount. We will probably test these bees for mites in another week or 2, but the last time I tested them, they looked pretty good. That might be a baby, but I'm not sure. Okay, let's just see here. So I see some capped brood here. Now whether that's from the old queen or the new one, I'm not sure, but I don't remember seeing that the last time I was here. So that's good news. Right here, see how they're kind of rough and they're covered with what looks like paper? Those are what's called capped brood. So inside of it, there are baby bees, which is good news. And I'm keeping an eye open for the queen. It's good that it hasn't been as hot lately. It feels a lot better here on the roof. Okay. Let's look at this one. This one looks like a big one. Oh yeah. So these, you see how they've kind of built their own little hive in the center here. It's bizarre. Bees are just going to do what they want to do. I still don't see a lot of brood though, which is not so good. Come on. Oh, nice. There we go. Jackpot. Look at that. This is what we wanted to see. That is the sign of a good laying queen. Look how they're very widespread like that. These are all babies, which means our hive is back on track. Inside there, I don't know how well you can see it, and some of these open ones that aren't capped yet, there's what looks like little larvae inside, and those are bees that are about to be capped. What happens here is there's an empty cell, the queen lays an egg in the cell, the workers come and they add some honey to the cell to feed it, and they do that several times a day. When the egg hatches and grows into a larvae, when the larvae get big enough, they basically close up the cell with a bunch of food, and then out comes a fully grown bee. And this was not here the last time. That I can tell you. There are a couple of things that are concerning. Right here is what looks like a queen cell, and it's capped. I'm hoping that is just left over from when they were queenless. I don't really know. But they definitely have queen activity, so I'm not going to worry about it. Whoever she is, she's doing her job. That is good news. Nice. Come on, little girl. See, they seem pretty calm, considering the fact that I'm tearing their home apart. So I'm not giving them any more smoke unless I have to. And you want to be very gentle. Part of beekeeping, oh wow, here's more, is just being careful and not crushing them and not getting them too upset. This hive is on the mend. That is good news. Look at that. Look at all those babies there. This was not here 2 weeks ago, I can tell you that. Typically, it takes about 21 days for an egg to hatch into a full-grown adult. So these are probably about a week away from being born, a few days at most. Nice. And I see plenty of babies in there. All different stages of larvae, which means the queen has been doing her job consistently. I would like to try and find her, but I don't really have to. And that's something that we've had to learn. I've had to learn growing here as a beekeeper. You don't have to take the entire hive apart every single time. Once you find what you're looking for, leave them alone. And I have definitely found what I was looking for. Wow, look at all these. You see how there's little larvae inside there? This is really good. Nice job, bees. Very good job, ladies. Okay, well, we're gonna keep going a little bit. Again, we don't have to, but because this hive has had so much trouble, I really kind of want to see exactly what's going on here. If you had any of our honey, sorry, if you feel something crawling on your leg and you're working a beehive, you want to be very careful. If any of you have had any of our honey, this is literally the hive that it came from. This was the strongest producing hive. We didn't want to take any honey from the newer hives. And had I realized this was going to have so many problems, I wouldn't have taken that either. But here we are. Once again. Now we're getting back into honey and less brood. Okay? Because we're getting to the edge. So this is nice. I feel really good about this hive. And I'm not going to take the whole thing apart. I haven't seen the queen yet. She's probably down here somewhere. But what I have noticed and what I've been told is every time you do this, it seriously interrupts the bees. They could lose an entire day's worth of honey making and brood rearing and all of the things that they do every time we take apart their hive. And the more invasive we are, the more it affects them. What an older, more wise beekeeper told me is once you find what you want, stop. And that's what we're going to do, okay? There are some beekeepers that like to control every aspect of the bee's life, and there are some beekeepers that never even bother checking. I like to be somewhere in the middle, okay? So we are good. I am satisfied that this hive has a fair amount of honey. It has a lot of brood. I would like to see more honey, but I feel pretty good about the amount we have considering it's September. So what we're going to do with this hive is close it back up. You see the little girls here? We're going to close it back up. I'm going to take a little bit of this stuff off. Oop. This is what's called burr comb, and there's nothing wrong with it. But if it gets too big, it can start interfering with the hive. So we're going to close it up. We're going to continue to feed these bees. Looks like they need a little more sugar water. And in about a week or two, we're going to check them again for mites. We want them to have a low mite count going into winter. We want about 70 pounds of honey in here, and we want a very low count of mites. Once we do that, we're going to close it up, we're going to insulate it, and we're going to say goodbye to the bees from about October until about March, okay? If you have any questions about the bees, feel free to call me and give me a call. Here on the roof, it's pretty hot and pretty bright, so I'll just be doing these videos and probably no tours in the immediate future, okay? Anyhow, this is Greg Strickland. I appreciate you being here with me. Thank you.